the attendees have started, so I can just introduce Joseph Balaz, the CEO and co-founder of IERP, an organization based in Slovakia. Joseph is an expert in AI, and on social media, I did pick that they have a project at the Expo 2020 in our neighboring country, Dubai. So that's really awesome. Any organization which works on the Expo 2020 with AI, I'm sure their credentials are very well certified. So we're very happy to have Joseph on the session as a chairperson here. Joseph will speak first, and then we'll have the other speakers. There are two more speakers to join in, so hopefully they would be in time. Over to you, Joseph, and thank you so much for chairing the session.
So thank you very much for the opportunity, and thanks a lot for the great introduction. It's actually the pleasure to opening this first set of talks at the COMEX 2021 right after the ceremony. So, well, I hope that all of you will actually enjoy it and you are same excited as we are to share the knowledge and content with you. So, in next 2 hours, we do have a jam-packed agenda. So we will be covering AI in the organizational transformation. We will have 4 different talks and the Q&A on the end. So apart of me, there are 3 additional speakers, Yaya, Allah, and Pratim. And I will introduce the speakers as we will go along with the different talks. I would like to encourage you to ask your questions actually during the talk. So anytime when you have a question, feel free to submit it. I will cover it during the Q&A. So without further ado, let me share my screen or let me go through the talk. So you should be able to see my screen. Allah, can you please confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes, I can. Yeah, sure.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Good. So I will be covering today the designing of your AI's journey. And this is a C-level handbook. So today we will just briefly touch upon the benefits of AI. We will look into the data-driven companies more from the historical perspective and how your company's AI journey actually looks like. So just a little bit about me. Who am I? I'm the CEO of IERP. We are an AI company delivering pre-packaged solutions either on-premise or in the cloud for our customers. On top of it, I am an AI chapter director for the Startup Grind. That is the largest startup community of the startup owners and entrepreneurs in the world. And my background is actually from the corporate. I did work for 13 out of Fortune 500 companies. So let's have a look into the benefits of AI. So AI can help you to improve your customer service, recruitment, product development, sales and marketing, can enhance your manufacturing processes, automating actually the content generation, as well as, and more importantly, to be more personalized to your customers. Amazon is a very large proponent of artificial intelligence, and they are able to increase the sales by 15 to 20%. And this is a great impact into their top line, as well as UPS annually saves hundreds of millions of dollars using artificial intelligence. According to the Gartner, by 2022, 90% of the corporate strategies will explicitly mention the information as the key enterprise assets, including the analytics and artificial intelligence. So let's have a look into the historical evolution about data-driven companies. In the 1940s, this is how it looks like. You have your salesperson or business person going door to door or having face-to-face meetings. You have your people and your processes running your business. Then came 1990s, where we gave a man a set of technologies and computers, so ERP, CRM system. The technology started to play a big role in the organizations. And now, a few years ago, there was a rise of artificial intelligence, which is adding data in the center of all the companies. So this is actually how it looks like, how we are evolving past few years from having process and people into where we are today, where there is a process, people, technology with data in the center. And actually data are becoming the knowledge of the company. So let's have a look into your company's AI journey. What you see here is a simple journey, which is starting from the business intelligence here on the bottom left. That is a level 0. Those are your analytics, your reports. The data-driven companies are here on the bottom left. Once you have your data-driven company implemented, then you are starting to overlay that with artificial intelligence, with enhanced analytics. I give you an example of sales forecasting, which is the example which you can add on top of your analytics and reports. Once you successfully completed the level 1, the next level are AI accelerators. These are vertical specific AI algorithms, and potentially the custom AI as a level 3. I am typically recommending companies to take this journey sequentially, to start on the bottom left and work your way up, just to mitigate the risks and ensure that not only your technology, but as well as your company is ready for AI. As a few side notes, some companies may decide to combine several steps. This will increase the risks, but there might be reasons why to do so. Then second side note is that there are certain AI use cases which does not need your company data. Let me give you an example. It might be a pricing tool using the data from your business vertical, but not necessarily your company data. And then the journey will look slightly differently if you are not using your own data in the AI use case. So let's have a look into the level 0. What does it mean to be data-driven business with analytics and reporting? These are the few characteristics of the data-driven businesses. First of all, you understand the data. You know where they're coming from, you know the quality, you're actually measuring that. You have the information sharing and collaboration within your organization. You are making sure that the data are clean, organized, documented, error-free. You're actually extracting the insights out of the data. You have the real-time view into your business. You are actually paying the attention into the set of tools and processes running on top of the data. And you are regularly updating the skills of your employees, your people in your organization. And most importantly, the data are aligned with your business goals. Now, I know that there are a lot of companies which are not yet here, and you are not alone. There is a large push within the industry to onboard as much customers as possible data-driven business. This is actually how it looks like once you have your data in the center of your organization. which are supporting your people, which are supporting your processes and your technology. Now, each data-driven business do have a data strategy, which is covering your business context, including the KPIs, your analytic goals. You have your data sources. You have the measurement of the quality, if they are for the structured, unstructured data. You have your engine, which is the analytics platform, actually consuming and maintaining the data. And you have the visualizations running on top of it to give an actionable outcomes for your employees. This is how the typical business intelligence implementation looks like, where you have your dashboards, which are designed to support actually some actionable outcomes. You may, show that each company may have a different sales summary or sales dashboards. You may have a sales from based on the territory or from the different perspectives, again, based how your business actually is organized. A lot of the data-driven companies do have so-called CDOs. That's a Chief Data Officer. So the CDO is actually a new role coming and rising past few years, actually responsible within your organization for the data. This is a typical cross-organizational type of role because as you saw in the beginning in the triangle, your people, processes, and technology, all of them are using data. So therefore, typical CDOs are actually in the middle of a lot of the technological projects, a lot of HR, manufacturing. Again, they are very cross-functional. So few recommendations. If you are still in the implementing your data-driven business, before any AI, implement your business intelligence platforms. Get your organization and people familiar with the tools, and that will help you to become data-driven business. So now let's move on in your AI journey into the software as a service, or in the first step in your journey, implementing your first algorithms. Well, first of all, if you are in this stage, congratulations, you have your data-driven business. Now it's time to identify the real business problem and deploy AI to solve it. The number one reason why AI projects are failing is so-called shiny things disease, where you have your AI experts telling you that, hey, this is what AI can do. But you have your domain experts and your business, which is giving you the value out of it. And therefore, there is only a small portion where there is overlap, where AI can help you to deploy the business value. This is the quote from Westmore, that the company should first articulate the key business problem or imperative they would like to address, and only after think about what is the AI solution out of it. Now, this is how your typical journey with AI, if you're starting, looks like. You will define your problem within your organization. You will create an open-minded culture. And as you see, the step number one and step number two is without technology. It's about the defining the problem, defining the culture. Step number three is to build a collaborative team which can work together. Again, from the different platforms, these are the data scientists. These might be the subject matter experts. These might be people from the floor, and they will come together to create a team. Then step number four, to identify the set of sources which can be used to support the business problem. Step number five is to gain an experience with the AI. Start to deploy and learn and get value out of the first deployment of artificial intelligence. What I'm typically suggesting in the first instance, to look into the plug-and-play applications. Software as a service, which SaaS means, is actually a cost-effective way to test that, does my company have a good data? can I deploy it in the fast manner? You can even consider some open source solutions which will give you some experience. And then the last step in the journey is the promotion of the outcomes. This promotion will actually help to bring your people from your organization with you and start to elevate the artificial intelligence usage within your organization. This is a very interesting fact which very few people know, that only 30% of development cycle of artificial intelligence is actually computational intensive. The rest are the data analysis, these sort of people onboarding, making sure that everybody is actually aligned, that you will get the best value out of it. Another interesting fact from PwC is that only 15% of the companies do have the right kind of data to achieve their AI goals. Even though in the level 0, you may become data-driven business, once you implement certain AI algorithms, then you can recognize that you may need to improve your data availability, to improve the way how your data are collected. So this is a constant cycle of improvement. So let me give you some few recommendations in the step number 1. Really, start small and iterate. Not all failures are bad. It will give you the learning within your organization. Using the prepackaged solutions is a very cost-effective way, rather than investing $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 for a custom AI project. You can try from the market algorithms which are already available. And my company is exactly in this business vertical, where we have prepackaged algorithms what customers can implement in a matter of days. Another recommendation is don't underestimate the change related to the culture within your organization. And really get your organization and people familiar with the AI. Working with probabilities, which a lot of the AI solutions will give you, is a mind shift, what people need to do. And the last thing is to monitor your deployment and algorithms, both from the precision perspective as well as impact which does have into your business. The industry standard numbers are telling us that the impact will take 12 to 18 months to see in the real live environment. So it will take some time, this monitoring, even after you completed your AI project. So let me briefly describe level 2 and level 3. So these are the AI accelerators or custom AI. Here, just to recap. So we did cover the business intelligence portion, which is level 0, even without any AI. We discussed software as a service, deploying some artificial intelligence algorithms, which are prepackaged. Level 2 and level 3 on the top right are more the custom solutions or vertical specific solutions. To consider when you would like to deploy these level 2 and level 3s is that, first of all, if you already tried some prepackaged solution and it is not giving you the precision which is required. In some use cases, you may have the prepackaged solutions not giving you the precision. Let me give you an example. You may have a prepackaged solution for sales forecasting, which is running fine, but you may have a quality problems with sales forecasting of the fresh produce, like fresh tomatoes. And you may consider if there is a business case behind to actually deploy specific algorithm for this specific use case to improve your precision as well as improve the business impact. And still, there might be some business problems which does not have the prepackaged solution available yet. In terms of the considerations, any custom solution will go through the same journey as I described for the software as a service, with added complexity of the custom development on top of it. So be wary that this is more, there is a higher level of risk when you're running these sort of projects. This is how actually the process for AI accelerators and custom AI looks like. This is coming from the Accenture. I will not go through that. If your company is currently running this sort of process, you are well aware of all the challenges and checkpoints which are part of the process. And I have the same recommendation even for the custom AI. Try to start small, not to try to jump a ship and invest a few million. If you can identify a small use case, even for the custom AI, try to complete the first iteration, train the algorithm, and do it in that way. So in summary, artificial intelligence will bring you tangible improvements of your bottom line. Your competition, the companies are starting their journey now. So really consider all the steps which I described and to do so. Let me just add a very quick description of my company, ERP. So as I said, we do have the set of algorithms which has been tested for the retailers and manufacturers and the sales and demand forecasting. We have actually late payment prediction for the Middle East specifically. And I know as this is a challenging problem in your area. And we as a company, we do have a presence in Dubai. We are members of Dubai Chamber of Commerce. We have Microsoft Oracle as the partners. So again, if I will be happy actually to connect via LinkedIn. So if you would like to have a separate call, even after the conference, I will be more than happy to do so.
Thank you very much, Joseph. That was extremely interesting.
Thank you very much. So let me stop my sharing of my screen. Good. So next in the agenda, we have Yaya, but I don't see her in the meeting. So what I would suggest is to move now to you, Ala. So first of all, let me introduce Ala. Ala Saga, he's a senior consultant at Mazars in Oman. He's the member of the advisory board of the Mashura Consultants. He's also AI researcher, and he will be talking about how artificial intelligence will drive organizational change. So, Ala, stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Actually, I would like to thank you for the presentation. And I have a couple of definite questions. Maybe at the end, we can discuss it later. I'm humbled to join you all and to join the panel with such a very important discussion. As we heard from Dr. Ali in the morning in his presentation, AI is extremely important. It is a huge opportunity in the Omani market. It is a huge opportunity for all the governmental institutions. So when I first, as a management consultant, my role is to support companies and institutions to move forward, to be able to grow better, to be able to manage their operations, to be able to achieve their strategy. So a few years ago, when AI started to pop up in the scene, now I started to think this question: how artificial intelligence drives organizational change? That was the question that I would like to add. So I will not be using any presentations today. We're just talking in an interactive manner. Although I use a lot of presentations in my work as a management consultant, however, I won't be using one today. Okay, so first of all, when we talk about the artificial intelligence, we have to understand it's not something that will happen in the future, right? It's happening now. So it's an opportunity that we can use now in our companies, that we can use now in different on a different perspectives. So as you know, one of the McKinsey, one of the huge companies that do a lot of amazing reports. One of the surveys they did in the US, they showed that 47% of companies have integrated at least one AI capability into their business process. And what's more astonishing, that actually the survey shows that 71% of the companies, they plan to increase their AI investments in the coming years. So it's not something that's coming in the future. The future is happening now. So everyone can see the huge potential in AI. Everyone can see the amazing results, the cost saving that comes out of it. However, as you mentioned in your presentation, which was really great, I loved, Joseph, that you focused on the human aspect of AI implementation. As you said that the whole AI cycle, you can have only 30% of the cycle which is computerized. And the other 70% includes or combines the human aspect. Okay, why? Because now a change is rapid. A change is inevitable. Especially when we see in the COVID, the companies which was really flexible, they were able to change fast. They was able to change the business models and try to survive through the impact of the COVID. So we can say that a successful change is a collaborative effort between different functions. It's not only on the AI shoulder, it's not only on the operations shoulder, the leadership shoulder. No, it is a collaborative effort. And simply to build a competitive advantage in today's rapidly changing economic reality. So AI now, and I guess you mentioned this as well, it is considered a competitive advantage for certain companies. So, for example, I did work on several projects in the real estate sector. So I met a company a couple of weeks ago. They use AI in their drawings, in their designs, in their architectural designs. And because they are doing this, they actually are separating them from the market. They are going one step forward. They are attracting better clients, more clients. So they are having better growth. That actually. However, when we think about organizations and AI and how organization and how AI can really help in the change in the organizations, we have to talk about the decision-making process. Because simply, when you have a quality data, okay, when you are a data-driven company, like Joseph said, now you have the base, right? When you have the base, you can use the AI applications to make accurate predictions. As simply as you might know, that AI can identify patterns in order to make an accurate prediction. And that's what you want to do. I am a huge fan of what is called scenario planning. It's a tool, a strategic tool that actually appeared in the 40s and 50s. And one of the pioneers was Shell in the oil and gas industry. So simply scenario planning idea is based that we will look at the future, okay? We'll look up in the next 10 years, and then we'll try to predict different economic scenarios, okay? And based on these scenarios, I will try to prepare myself as a company how to face and how to react to these scenarios, okay? It's a huge tool. I love it. I love companies, and I always recommend companies to use it. However, I believe AI will do this simply. It will help companies to predict what I can do in the future. What change projects I can use? Should I do this project to this project? But actually, they can do this 100% faster, more efficiently, and with lower error rates. Okay, so simply, I can draw insights from the data. I can create better decisions for leaders by providing the right information at the right time. And actually, what also I love about AI and decision making, that simply it evaluates the solution. So it doesn't only tells you that, okay, you have 10 options, you have this and this and this. No, it also evaluates the solution and the options based on the data provided. So in any data, even if you take a decision on a personal basis, so you are traveling to Dubai, for example, for a holiday, and you have a lot of decisions to make. This hotel or this hotel, what shall I do? What's the attractions shall I go to? So when you have a lot of decisions, there is a process to take the right decision. Number one, you have to collect the available data. Number two, you have to analyze the data you collected. Number three, now you have to see the options and weigh the different options. You have to think about the opportunity cost of your decisions. Then you have to implement and take an action. Then you have to reflect about the decisions. You have to learn from the decisions you made. So AI can actually do this, a big part of this process. Can offer you the best possible solution based on the data provided. So it saves a lot of effort and cost. It saves the mental energy as well. I do work with leaders. I do coach leaders as well. And one of the main pain points for any leader is taking decisions, because as a leader, especially if you are leading a big company, your main job every day is to make decisions. But actually, making decisions is like a battery. Okay, it fades away by time. So at the end of the day, sometimes you can't take the right decisions because your mental energy is just deprived. So AI, it saves a lot of mental energy for leaders to think more about the strategy implementation, about the company's different business aspects. So now, I can't talk about organizational change without talking about the AI implementations or implications in organizations. I won't talk in details on this stuff because we have several applications of AI, but I'm going to talk about some important applications nowadays. We can see that the huge, because what I want to say is AI can, when you work in a collaborative way, you can use AI in different aspects. Because simply it's a journey. I love the word. So it's a journey, okay? It's a journey through all the functions, through all the organizations. It's not an IT thing, because some people, they understand that AI is it's a new software, okay? It's a new IT thing. No, it's a new culture. So in the customer relationship management, we can see that now using artificial intelligence can help give a 360-degree of customer experience, right? It can offer you a real-time product interaction, customer transactions, and behavioral data. Different brands around the world, they do imaging processing, like Zara, for example. They do imaging processing to know what do you like, what's the effect of seeing the clothes and the brands on you, on your face, on your behavior. So they analyze the behavior data to take a decision based, data-driven decision. You can also see the different messaging applications. Now you can see an AI-driven chatbot. Bank Muscat here, they use also a chatbot driven by AI in order to deliver you, to save costs and to deliver you the information you need as a customer. We can see that the impact of artificial intelligence in fraud detection and security intrusions in companies. And I'll give you a quick story about this. One of the projects I did was one of the government entities in Oman was a fraud review. So simply, we have a fraud risk review and internal controls review to make sure that the company or the institution is ready to face any fraudulent action. The process to review the internal control, it was very time and energy consuming. So we have to do lengthy interviews. We have to review all the policies. So we reviewed like books and books of policies and procedures. But now if you have an AI application implemented, you can do that in minutes. So with better accuracy. So simply you can detect, if you have any like weak internal control. So if you have any fraud that might happen, so you can detect it, you can detect the risk, you can raise the flag in just a minute, just minutes. We took I guess we took almost 2 months for the whole project. So you can do it in just, a day. So that's how artificial intelligence can help you as an organization and save you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money. We can see also the application of artificial intelligence in the talent development and managing human risk. A lot of people don't do this because when you talk about talent development, it's always a people interaction. So you can have a people manager, you can have the talent acquisition manager, but actually no, now you can have the AI application in it. So simply you can improve the employee retention through better training. How can I do this? How I can use AI to improve employee retention, which is, by the way, it's the hot topic now. All the companies, especially with the new generations, when you can see the high retention increases. So everyone is looking, how can I improve the employee retention in my company? So actually, through artificial intelligence, you can create personalized learning experiences, okay? Based on the employee data, performance management reviews, you can see how this employee can have this track and this employee can have this learning track, based on their own pace and based on their own needs as well. And IBM uses actually an AI tool that predicts with 90%, 95% accuracy which employees are about to quit by analyzing their behavioral data and the data that they gather from all the different functions. And also we can definitely see the AI in automating the process. And that's one of the huge aspects of artificial intelligence in organizations. You can automate any business process end to end without the interference of the human aspect. And anyone who works in the industrial sector, I did a lot of projects, especially in the lean methodology with different factors in the food and beverage and other sectors. You can see that the business process in factories, that's the huge aspect of the business. If you did the business process the right way, you will boom the market. If you don't have the right business process, you will suffer hugely in the market. So using AI can help in reduce operational obstacles. It can help in organizing the process and the complex data. In factories, in the industry sector, you have huge complex data. AI can help in organizing and processing this data to ensure the compliance, and that's the goal for any process. That's the goal, to ensure the compliance of this process. The people are following the business process as it should be followed. Finally, and the last implication I would like to talk about today, and please, if you have any question, just shoot the question in the comments or maybe the discussion at the end. I have just maybe three minutes remaining. So the last thing which you can see at the moment, which is the impact on social media monitoring to gauge brand perception. You can see AI applications in social media, on social content creation and management, in social media listening. It's a tool called social media listening, where as a brand, you can analyze everyone who posts on social media talking about your brand. Whether it's good or bad, you can analyze it. So it gives you insights to be able to change your social media strategy as a brand and maybe do some changes to your brand image. It finds you the right influencer, because now you have the influencing business in social media marketing. So actually, based on data, it can tell you this influencer is the best one to promote your brand. So there are a lot of more implications for AI in organizations. But what I would like to highlight, as Joseph said, AI doesn't mean that it will replace the human actually presence in companies. Not at all. It is a synergy. So we call it the human machine synergy. The human machine synergy. Okay. So simply, it's a journey that a company or an organization should adopt. It should embark a full digital transformation. Should think a lot about the culture, a lot about educating the employees about artificial intelligence, its importance, its implications, its effects on the company. So it's not taking the human out of the process. Indeed, it's more about using these algorithms to provide the transparency and to just to help with smarter decision making. So simply at the end, what I would like to say that artificial intelligence is a huge tool. It's a very important tool. And I would like to say that, and I said this before with Amr, that it's not only about big organizations. If you are a team of 10 and above, you can start to use some AI tools. You can do this, okay? Just start doing it. Start focus on the quality of your data, okay? And just make sure that you are a data-driven company. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. And going back to Joseph.
Thank you very much, Ala, for your insights and for a very interesting talk. I would like to encourage all the attendees here, if you have any questions, just add them into the Q&A box. We will cover them. We will cover them during the Q&A session. And without further ado, we have a Partim with us. I hope that you are, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Partim, are you here?
I am here. I can hear you. Let me just turn my video on.
Fantastic. So let me just quickly introduce you, Partim. So Partim is the Director of Data and AI at Microsoft UK. Partim and his team, this mission is to work alongside with their customers, delivering insight and most importantly, value from data to achieving great business outcomes. Partim brings over 20 years of experience, both as a customer and working with the technology vendor building data and AI services. And Partim will cover perform and transform with an effective data strategy. So Partim, let's take it away.
Thank you very much. So let me kick off saying Sabah, everyone, and shukran to Comics for having me. And thank you all for joining me in this talk. As Joseph says, is about how you can transform with an effective data strategy and AI strategy. I'm Pratim Das, one of the directors at Microsoft with a focus on data and AI. Right, so you can see my screen, right?
Yes, Pratim, we can see your screen.
Right?
We can see your screen very much.
Perfect, thank you, thank you. Right, so let's start by defining a data strategy. A data strategy for an organization, be it a commercial or a public sector, government organization, is a manifesto to improve the use of data and insights in that organization. A data strategy helps by ensuring data is managed and used like an asset. It provides a common set of goals, objectives, guided by design principles across enterprise and its projects to ensure data is used both effectively and efficiently. We believe, and Allah was covering interestingly some of those topics, we believe that data strategy must seek to harness the power of, number one, boost the productivity by empowering every individual employee, business unit, and department. Number two, engage with your end customers, and if you are government, with your citizens. Number three, optimize your operations, and number four, transform your products and services to accelerate that innovation. It is also about a governance framework to protect against data loss and implementing data privacy and the required regulatory and compliance needs. However, there needs to be an adequate balance that facilitates access to data assets and insights in a secure and responsible manner. Question is, do you need a data strategy? Everyone does. And you may be surprised to know that this is still relevant for the largest organizations who are already using big data analytics at scale. Let's do a quick poll with the audience, if that's okay. Sadiq and Jim, would you kindly mind popping this question on screen or in the chat? People can respond. So does your organization have a data strategy? right? Well, yes is a living and breathing document, maybe somewhat, maybe someone else knows, I'm not sure, or no, we do not have one, or well, we don't need one. Why do we need a data strategy, right? So let's see, a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds. Right, does any results coming through? Can we? Do people poll away and let's see what results comes through. Sadika and Jim, do you know what the results there?
Yeah, we have to end the poll, so it's still feeding in.
Still fitting in, okay. Okay.
So if you tell us, we'll end the poll.
Yeah, I think end it. Well, do you want to finish the session if you don't mind?
Yes, I believe we can see the results now.
Okay. Okay, good. Right. Interesting. Wow, some of you have an effective data strategy that keeps up to date, but quite a lot of you still in early days, which is absolutely fine. Right. Let's quickly jump into an example. Talking about alignment to business outcomes, in the UK, 20% of the car insurance claims have disputed or unclear liabilities, leading to resolution times over a year. Using AI on Azure that intersects the customer's verbal explanation with static field data and vehicle damage information to accurately determine the outcome of a disputed claim, resulting the number of complex, difficult to resolve case, it went down from 20% to 3.9%. There you go, a real business outcome. So let's talk a little bit about how do you build that capability. We believe culture is key part in having that enterprise-wide capability. You need leaders to understand the role of data and accelerate adoption in the normal day-to-day rhythm of the business. Standard operations, business decisions, growth plans, product and innovation roadmap should all be backed by data and insights. This organization-wide adoption tackles the culture of risk aversion around data use and sharing, and it promotes a data-driven culture. Talking about leaders and business decision makers, we have our AI business pool in collaboration with INSEAD. The format is online course, it's free, it's on demand, it's got diverse content with articles, business use cases, videos. So sign up today. It may be very useful for any leader trying to bring AI or improve the adoption of AI in their organization. Let's take a look at the traditional roles in an organization. Microsoft not only has the tools and technologies for everyone in these roles, we also have learning paths. For us to be successful, we want all these roles, business users, analysts, BI professionals, developers, data scientists, citizen data scientists, to be successful in doing what they're meant to be doing using the right tools. So in the next video, you'll see how modern tool sets for AI and automation can empower every employee to drive business outcomes. Let's hear from Samit. Maybe that video works. There you go.
I don't just want to make a living. I want to make a difference. When I left school at 16, my dad was working in Heathrow at the time, and this opportunity came up as becoming a security officer. I thought, what a great opportunity, you know. My dad used to take me here to watch seaplanes and everything. So why not work for a company or an airport like Heathrow? I've been a security officer for 13 years. When I saw the amount of paper and time we were spending, I saw an app would be a great solution for these problems to be solved. About a year ago, I started learning about the Microsoft programs. I went home and I looked at a blog from Power Apps, and it said, this is how you can build an app. And I thought, why doesn't no one know this? Because this could have so much potential to change so many things. We have saved 11,000 sheets of paper and saved around 288 hours of manual input data. Going from paper to digital has been amazing. It doesn't matter what your skill levels are like, anybody can build this app.
Him with his community of super users have created 17 power apps that are already being used across our airport, and this is just the tip of the iceberg.
My name is Sam Saini, and I'm a IT user adoption specialist at Heathrow. There's no limit what you can create with new technology. I'll create a new career.
What a fantastic story, right? Skills is key to organization capability, but but it's just one of the many dimensions. And maybe start looking at all capabilities you need, either at an organization level or holistically or at a project level. Now it's time to look at capability you have, and that's your baseline. Note capability is agnostic of tools and product. You look at data storage, retrieval, data ingestion, orchestration, compute, analytics, all these requirements, and underpinned by foundational capabilities in security, data access, authentication, governance, and very importantly, operations. As a next step, let's start looking at, like in Microsoft Azure Azure native PaaS and SaaS services, and start mapping what you need to deliver success. This strategy, as opposed to building from scratch on top of virtual machines on the cloud, will accelerate your transformation journey and help you deliver operational excellence. Joseph, Alla, I think you guys are on, but I think we are running a little bit late. I got a note from Anjum that everything is rolled over by a few more minutes, so I'll still got about 10 minutes of content.
Yes, absolutely. No worries. It's perfectly fine.
Right. So in the oil industry, locating reservoirs and accurately predicting what percentage of hydrocarbons are retrievable is an iterative, resource-heavy task and often negatively influenced by human bias. By using Azure ML, BP was able to dramatically reduce the amount of time and error in reservoir location, reducing workloads from weeks to hours, saving billions of dollars, and boosting the productivity of their data scientists. Let's look at data maturity now. And there are many assessment tools for data maturity level. One that we use got 5 levels and is built using organizational maturity around preparation, agility, and resilience. Level 0, here you don't see data to be exploited programmatically and consistently. In level 1, we see teams have been formed, strategy has been created, but analytics is still very departmentalized. In level 2, innovations platform is almost ready with workflows in place to deal with data quality, and the organization is able to answer a few why questions. In level 3, we see some of the characteristics of this level are a holistic approach to data projects related to business outcomes. In level 4, here we see entire company using a data-driven culture, frameworks, and standards across the enterprise. We also see automation, centers of excellence around analytics, and a data-driven feedback loop in action. One of the outcomes of a data-driven culture is how AI used in a meaningful way. And here is in the next slide, you'll see a very nice ladder. So this journey from a dormant to a descriptive analytics, answering a few what happened, to diagnostics, and then leaping into predictive and answering what will happen, to prescriptive, getting recommendations, to finally building a center of excellence around fully automated decision support systems is possible, and we see many organizations in that journey. Let's take some examples. Using the same technology, our customers are accelerating innovation using AI at scale, such as CDC deployed a chatbot that helps patients self-assess COVID-19 symptoms. Cara used Azure AI to help them choose 3 new retail locations, increasing 200% in sales. Schneider leveraged AML on IoT Edge to pinpoint which remote equipment needs repair and achieve substantial savings in maintenance, optimizing production and profit, and increasing safety. ASOS has become a top online fashion destination for 20-something countries around the world. Walgreen Boots was able to quickly automate the building and training of 200 ML models and deploy them quickly, allowing them to forecast 200 million item store combinations, right? So let's do a quick poll next, if that's okay. Sadiq or Anjum, if you are here. Where do you think you are in this AI maturity curve? Right, you currently don't use AI, unlikely. Some are still there. You are in the sort of dormant early stages. Do you think you are going into descriptive, using a bit of BI, more of a diagnostic one? You know, what just happened, and predictive, and also like fully automated AI-driven platform? Where do you think you are? Is missing prescriptive here, but that's okay. I missed one of the points. That's all good. Go ahead and give 5 more seconds. Audience, please vote away. 2, 3. Right. Should we look at the results? Wow, that is a very honest audience. Great. So we are still in BI, which is really good. So you're using that BI pretty effectively in organizations. So great. It'll be reasonably easy for you to take the next leap. Right. So let's have a quick touch on governance, which is very, very, very important, and especially when you talk about AI has got an interesting caveat to that. So taking a principled approach across the entire data lifecycle, from ingestion to storing data and data processing, analytics and AI, and strive data governance across all those phases in your data lifecycle. It doesn't matter if your data platform spans both cloud, on-premises, but it must give you the entire map comprising of data assets, classification and lineage. Look at Azure Purview, which may help you make this completely seamless. Consider profiles such as data producers, consumers who are supported by data discovery, augmented by business glossary and data catalog. Consider data sharing for them, both intra and inter-organization. For data engineers and SME, empower them with data quality and master data management solutions. For data officers and data practitioners, ensure your governance solutions deals with policy, access and loss, and also privacy too. This creates a good segue for us to talk about ethics in AI. At Microsoft, we use 4 core principles of fairness, reliability and safety, privacy and security, and inclusiveness, underpinned by 2 foundational principles of transparency and accountability. We are now moving from principles to practice and empowering our customers to do so. For us, putting responsible AI into action starts with practices that are grounded in human-centric design and spans over roles. Our tools are a result of collaboration across disciplines, software engineering and development of social sciences, user research, law, and policy. To further collaboration, we have open sourced many of our tools and data sets, and that others can use to contribute as well. We have also democratized our tools through our managed services, such as Azure Machine Learning. Let's take one example. Shell needed a way to reduce hazard and risk at the retail sites, while simultaneously increasing operational effectiveness and efficiency. Using AI in a responsible manner, Shell was able to increase the safety of more than 30 million daily customers, automate a wide array of safety operations, and contribute to the company's goal of no accidents or leaks at any of their service stations. Right, we're going to talk about tools. Whenever I talk about this famous quote by Einstein comes into mind, right? We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. So when it comes to tools across the data lifecycle, we are spoiled for choices. Azure provides great integration capabilities with most of the tools. I mean, this is just a small subsection of them. Organizations can easily get lost in the deluge and spend months on feature comparison without yielding any business value. Similarly, just like the open source and partner ecosystem, there's many choices on Azure itself. I would say it is more important to get started in delivering business value iteratively than trying to learn every bit of the puzzle. Leave the rest to product innovation from vendors and capability you are going to build yourself in every iteration. Growth mindset is cultivated best when you accomplish more with less. This balance is an art. It fosters creativity and innovation. I call this think big, start small, and act fast. Keeping the design principle of simplicity in mind, what we have created is a single integrated platform of BI, AI, and continuous intelligence. This is unwrapped under 4 foundational capabilities of management, security, monitoring, and metastore. Underpinning this is a decoupled storage layer, data integration layer, all in one place. And these runtimes, it has got analytics runtimes either on demand or serverless or provisioned. These runtimes provide choice such as SQL, T-SQL for batch and interactive processing through Spark for big data, and support for most languages such as SQL, Python, .NET, Java, Scala, you name it. All of these are made available through a single interface called Azure Synapse Analytics Studio. Quickly, we're going to jump into architecture. Designing a modern data platform in the cloud is a convergence of security, reliability, governance, monitoring, performance, including on-demand scaling and data ops and self-service, and very importantly, cost. I would recommend you start adopting the Azure well-architected framework, Microsoft well-architected framework. Make this an integral part of your architecture practice. This is a section where I talk about new paradigms like data mesh, but this is not something we can cover in 20 minutes. So I'll just hand over to some links which you can go through in the next slides. So basically, working with thousands of customers across different industries with varying complexity, we can pick the optimal pattern and tailor those transformation plans to accelerate time to value, be it retail, financial services, manufacturing, healthcare, or public sector. We have the industry knowledge and the deep domain expertise to help you build a resilient data and AI strategy. Good. With that, I would just say, really, Shukran, thank you. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and good luck in your journey in building a data and AI strategy to perform for today and transform for tomorrow in whatever you are currently missioned to do. All the best. That's me.
Fantastic, Patin. Thanks a lot for your very insightful presentation. Thumbs up.
Thank you, Partin.
Good. So I have a question to our friends at COMEX. There's supposed to be one more speaker, Yaya, but I can't see her in the list of participants. By the way, be aware, Partin, that you're still sharing your screen.
How am I? How do I?
Perfect.
Joseph, yeah, now the screen sharing has stopped. Unfortunately, Jaya hasn't been able to join, so I think we can get into the panel discussion. And over to you, Joseph.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Good. So again, I would like to encourage participants to shoot any questions which you may have.
I guess we have a couple of questions there.
At least I'm looking into that. Well, just to first of all kick off the Q&A is I would like to pose the first question to use my privilege. And I would like to ask both of you, Ala and Bartim, how do you see the overall landscape of AI and business intelligence, data analytics from your perspective? Because I think, and this is what I hear from the customers when I'm speaking to them, that on one end, the industry is presenting these large case studies for, as it was mentioned, the Shell or your Google, your Facebook. And it's very hard for the mid-sized businesses to actually create some personal connection that AI is not only for those big guys, those few selected, 50, 100 companies in the world, but it's actually something what anybody can use. So I would like to ask for your insight, how you see the landscape, how you see maybe from the medium-sized businesses. Do you have any examples how they are actually using these sort of technologies?
Martin, please.
No, I mean, am I still on? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
So I would say that's not necessarily correct in my perception. I'm seeing some amazing AI-led innovation coming from small and medium-sized company. That kind of that technological divide between large enterprises and small organizations is gone, particularly when it comes to AI. Majority of the AI technology is still very, very open source, right? What large vendors like Microsoft, Amazon, Google have done, they made things more simple, wrapped together, ready to go and use it. However, Python is still Python, right? Anyone can get started today, and PyTorch or TensorFlow or any of those tools, technologies are very, very useful. So, for example, I would say, we in the UK, for example, we saw NHS BSA process more than 54 million prescriptions per month. They currently process that much, probably more now. 24 million of this were electronic, but remaining 30 million are paper forms requiring manual entry by an operator. So BSA decided to explore the opportunities to streamline this process through greater automation through Microsoft AI, machine learning, and a vision solution, and they did it. So it's not just the big companies, anyone. We also seen like a Brazilian startup who wanted to get car repairs more easily, or Indian healthcare technology who wanted to find preventable blindness. They use AI, Microsoft AI. So what I'm trying to say is very democratized today. I mean, even you can get, or anyone can get started today with going to the cloud, using the tools. The reading material documentation is so easily available. We are seeing some fantastic innovation coming from startups and mid-sized companies. So I actually don't agree with that theory, that statement really.
Now, I think, and this is where I'm leading, that there is a perception, but as you said, it's not actually the case that those mid-sized companies, even small companies, can actually utilize AI today. But I think the perception when you look into the media might be that, hey, only those big guys are doing that. So, Ala, can you please provide your perspective into this?
Sure. So I guess the answer to this question, it depends on the market. You will be, which market are you looking to? So I will talk about the Egyptian market since I'm Egyptian. It's one of the big markets in the Middle East, you know, and I'll talk about maybe Oman, maybe GCC. So I will agree with the party on this, that actually we can see a huge adopters, especially from startups. So startups now, they are young people, enthusiasts, they understand the technology, they can see the potential, supported by investors, VCs, and all this stuff. And I can see big companies, because definitely they are the people who has the budget. So they lead, they have the R&D department. But to be honest, I can still see that the mid-sized companies, they are not there yet. And I will say that the reason is they don't see the benefit of AI till now. So I believe that what we need for these markets, for emerging markets, is we need the awareness. So the awareness comes from the awareness and enablement. So we need government initiatives to enable these companies to use artificial intelligence. We need big companies like Microsoft and other big companies to create this low budget tools, easy to use tools to enable these companies. And we need consultants like us to be able to offer this option as one of the recommendations. Because I seldom see consultation companies that they offer artificial intelligence as a solution to the client problem. That don't happen a lot. So I believe that's another way. That's another way to look at it. That, you know, it's a collaborative effort to raise the awareness and for mid-sized companies to seize the opportunity.
I cannot agree more. I cannot agree more. So there is one question from Hanan in the chat for you, Ala, but obviously, Pardim, feel free to chip in. So question is, AI sometimes requires significant investment that startups and SMEs may not have at their disposal. What AI capabilities would you recommend for business owners in these categories to do to stay competitive and against the larger counterparts?
That's a very important question. Again, that's back to the awareness. So, that's normal to think that AI is complicated, complex, and it must be expensive. It must be difficult to reach, difficult to use. However, now we can see what we call AI applications on a budget. So we can see that we have certain applications developed on a budget to help startups. It's targeting small companies, it's targeting startups. So it really depends on what you want to do. Like if you are going for the lead generation and sales, I guess we have one of the tools. It's called Optin Monster. It's an amazing tool that can help small companies on a budget to generate leads. If you're talking about maybe the data collection, we have the IBM Cognos, for example. I guess that's another one. So what I want to say is, in the human resources, you have different applications. But it's there. So it's not, the library is not that big, but it's there. We have a lot of applications that it is on a budget, and I believe it will be growing. It will be growing, I'm sure of that.
Partim, would you like to chip in?
I think totally agree with Ala on that. What I would urge you to think about is look, I think everyone can get started with AI, but you kind of need to take a step back and think, where is that journey going to go, right? So do you need a data platform where you can repeat this? It's not just one-off. You know, you can get a one-off application up and done, running, you know, a few days, job done. But hey, can you repeat the success? Can you really see how AI is actually helping or not helping? So thinking of building that sort of a data platform, an analytics platform, it's a convergence of security, governance, monitoring. And say when you grow, when you know, small app that you started suddenly hits the global population, are you going to be able to scale? You know, how are you going to operate it? Self-service, those things are very, very key. And organizations comes in all shapes, right? Whilst some may need a platform which is highly centralized, like small platform, centralized, everyone using the same thing. Others may be better served from a federated setup. It doesn't matter what your size, you could be having multiple spanning across regions, right? In a distributed way. Whilst we think about this in a binary fashion, centralized or decentralized, it is important to understand there is a spectrum of services. Do we want to enable self-service reports, ad hoc queries, data ingestion, all these little nuances, and complete self-service? So I just recommend that you take a step back and really think, where do you want to go? You are here now, and this is where you want to be in a few years' time. And what is that journey? And there are large organizations building tools. There are consultancies who are here to help. There is plenty of material available on the internet to get started. But take a step back, think, and define your journey and walk on that journey.
And I would like to actually echo what you just said, because even during my talk, I see the data platform and business intelligence as a fundamental layer even before you are considering to deploy any sort of AI, because that is enriching the data what you already have. Plus, having this sort of platform is helping the employees to be more engaged with the data. They will be versed, understanding the graphs, understanding the insights coming out of the platform. And then the AI is actually a logical step on top of it. Now, I would like to actually add one more thing for those companies which are currently thinking to deploy AI. Think about the business problem. Let me give you an example. If you are a trading company and you see currently that you have a few million dollars or a few $100,000 locked in your stockroom, think about there might be a sales forecasting algorithm which can help you to predict the future sales. And by knowing how much it will sell in the future, you can actually unlock some of the capital locked in your stockroom or in the physical products. This might be an easy use case to cover. If you are if you have challenges with your, for example, with your support of your customers, deploying a chatbot might be again a good way how to improve the experience of your customers while deploying the AI. Good. So there is one more question from Zuhair. How do you define digital transformation and how it is related to AI? So who would like to take up on this question? Feel free.
Sorry, come off mute. I actually covered that in first part of when I was talking it. Just if you, how do you what I would say is really looking at 4 pillars of work, right? When you are transforming your business, the first thing is how do you boost productivity, of your employees, and when it doesn't mean like the C levels or people on the ground, or no, everyone. What I mean is, how do you empower everyone with data and AI tools, every employee, every department in that journey? The second one is, how do you engage with your end customers in a more effective manner? Really get that telemetry that your services, your solutions are working in almost real time. And say you're a government, in that case, your digital services, your citizens are using it, right? So it's not just to public sector or private sector. Every organization can get into that journey. Third point I would say is optimize your operations. Right? Everyone has got some sort of operations. You run fleet of vans, or you run a global supply chain, or you in the oil and gas industry or in the financial services industry. How do you optimize those operations using data, insights, and AI? And finally, innovation. No one in today's day and world can stand still and say, hey, we used to do this 10 years ago, and that's just enough for our citizens, for our customers. No, absolutely not. We are in a competitive landscape. New things are constantly being rolled out. You need to start adopting. You need to, is a customer's world, a citizen's world. You really need to delight them, delight your customers, keep them close. So how do you transform your end products? How do you transform your services to accelerate that innovation? Both data and AI will help you in all the four pillars that we talked about in accelerating. That's my take on a very interesting question, by the way.
Thank you, Prateep. So to answer this question, Zuhair, I believe we have to go back to the basic definition of digital transformation, which is, I believe that I saw a lot of companies, especially we are talking about SMEs, mid-sized companies, they have a huge misconception. When we asked them, why do you want to go for digital transformation? He said, you know what, I need an ERP. I need some tools. So they believe that digital transformation is about the tools. It's not about that. Digital transformation equals cultural transformation. It's changing employees' behavior, changing employees' mentality, the way they think, the way they work, everything. That's why, unfortunately, we can see a lot of money is wasted in a lot of digital transformation projects. Because again, you can see, and now we're talking about large companies. I saw large companies, they invest, especially family businesses. So they started, zero digital, and then they want to transform. So you can see they spend thousands of dollars getting the best ERP system, and it fails dramatically. Why? Because getting back to AI, AI is just a pillar. It's one of the journey, one of the parts, one of the stages of the digital transformation journey. So it has to be completed. It has to be 360, considering, like Joseph said in the presentation, you have to consider the people, you have to consider the culture, you have to make sure that you are ready, like Partim said, why I'm doing this strategically. So it's like you have, as a leader, you need to have the full picture behind the digital transformation initiative.
I would like to echo that, Alaa, for sure. So what I would suggest for any C-level participants or attendees of this talk, really think about if you are deploying AI or in general digital transformation, think about, are you improving your internal processes or your customer experience? And always ask, what is actually the added value of having that tool or that algorithm, what it would bring. So if you're thinking about enhancing the customer experience, very good example actually is Amazon, what they are doing. You as a shopper, as a part of the platform, when you are looking for certain products, you are all it's like a second nature to see, like the box in the bottom suggesting next products which you might be interested in. You might not even be aware as a consumer that there is AI running on the background, consuming your preferences, which products you see in the past, and suggesting, this you might be interested in. For those companies now joining this session, what I would really suggest that having the digital transformation and AI will become a necessity. Really think about that going forward, consumers will expect to be to have a more personalized approach, to have a better experience, to have a faster response times. And it's not only external, it's internal as well. For me as an employee, I would like to have instant output, instant help. So having these AI tools in few years will become a mandatory. Therefore, think about your journey and start now. As Partim described, think big, start small, start now, and take this journey because it would take few iterations. Good. So I would like to touch upon one more thing, which is the data and data quality. From the experience which I have with my customers, is that customer will tell you, hey, you would like to do the sales forecasting, these are my data, I have everything perfectly in my ERP system. What is not actually recognized is that what the data represents. And what I mean by it, let me give you a real example. You may have an ERP system which is storing how much you sold in the past. You might be training an algorithm, hey, predict how much you will sell in the future. As I mentioned in the talk, the data is actually embedding the knowledge of your organization. So in the data, there might be that, you know, in the June and July last year, you did sell 0 of certain product. That's in the data. If you just pass it into the algorithm, it would learn that, hey, this product in this location, it will not be sold in June and July. But in reality, there might be some company outage. Your factory might be not, you know, working correctly. So thinking about the data quality, it's not only do I have the records, but it's really about how, if the data are actually correct. And a lot of the effort is actually spent of analyzing and making sure that the data are actually correct even before you start your AI journey. I would like to have your take on Alaa and Pratim on this topic.
I definitely agree with you. It's going back to the quality. And the quality of data is extremely, it's the base. So that's what you feed, you know, to the different AI tools. So I will be honest with you, I face some challenges in enhancing the quality of data. I believe it goes down to leadership, and if they are convinced of the importance of data, okay? I'm a very big advocate of getting the C-suite younger a little bit in age, because we face some challenges in convincing them that data is important. I work with family businesses a lot, especially in GCC. You know, family business is the core of the economy. So when you work with family businesses, because you can see the leadership, they worked a lot without the focus on data. So they still can't see it unless you see them, you make them see that the importance of having a high quality data. But I believe, like you said in the presentation, it is the starting podium. So that's the focus, that's the zero level that you have to start from. It's even if you're a startup, please just focus from starting the business. If you're a small business, it's much easier and it's not that costly to focus on enhancing your data now. Because when you go forward, it will get more difficult and more costly, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fantastic points, Ramada.
Thank you.
I just like to add that, like, you need to start thinking. It is the number one. In many ways, it's a very, very important topic, right? And what I would also say is not only the quality, it's also access to data. You'd be surprised the amount of projects that I kick off with customers, and they really have a grand vision. They really want to do the right thing. And they got the team ready, they got the tools ready, everything is ready, but where is the data? And that often takes like months to get ready. And when they find the data, there's just all shit. But bear with the world for a second. If you think about it, we probably produced more data in the last 2 or 3 years than we have produced in the entirety of the human civilization, right? And the types of data we are producing, right? You know, gone are the days of tables of rows and columns, right? There's all sorts of the video data, conversational data, text data, audio data. So yes, of course there is going to be a problem. If there was no problem, there was something wrong, right? So there is a problem, and as the world tries to fix this, technology companies and people individually tries to fix this, and we are seeing AI being added to some of the data quality tools, right? Because what is a postcode is not just a regular expression. AI can easily work out this is a postcode. AI can easily work out this is someone's age and understanding the context and stuff. So we are seeing even tools with AI being there to solve some of these problems. But because we're talking particularly about AI here, I would say the challenge with data quality is exponentially important, because it's not just the structure of data, it's not just what's missing there, it's bias in data, right? And we have tools like FairLearn, which we have open sourced as well. So I would definitely want people to go and look at the Microsoft Responsible AI. Before you start, we humans are biased. We have bias in various things, and our data footprints encapsulate some of those biases. And suddenly we build an AI tool which will have those biases if we don't address it in day one. And think about it, that tool is successful and scales across the globe, it's just going to have a biased result. It's biases in recruitment, biases in giving people benefits to whatever system they apply for. So all these things need to be addressed. So tools and technologies are there. My ask to the leaders are be mindful, be intentional in what you're doing. This is a problem. It's not going to go away. It's going to get bigger and bigger if you don't address it now. So start thinking about, you can't solve it immediately, right? It's all about creating that iterative loop where every time you learn, incorporate that to your products and services, again, go a few steps, so like that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Good. So we have 3 minutes left. What I don't see any other questions. So I would like to ask you just.
I wonder, Joseph, if I can ask a question very quickly. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, sure.
It's Amar here. I hope these questions are relevant, and I hope they haven't been asked already. The questions I wanted to ask, there's 3 questions. Firstly, how can we ensure bias-free data? Of course, there's always, I think, a risk that data can be used for personal interests with different views within one company. Maybe they want to achieve different things. So how can we kind of separate that from people specifically so that the data can be bias-free? The other question I wanted to ask was in terms of if you want to start using AI in your company, how can you, should you outsource or do you hire, can you build your own team relating to data and AI in your organization? Or do you outsource the service? How should organizations decide this policy? And thirdly, in order to get data from your customers, how do you do it without being intrusive? Do you need to inform them beforehand, or what's the best way to kind of find a balance by getting data and without being too intrusive to your clients? Those are the 3 questions I had.
Very good questions. So let's take them step by step.
Sure.
Let's start with the how regarding the bias in the data. I do think you partly already briefly touch upon that. So would you like to expand on that? I know that this is a topic for...
I briefly touched. There are tools, Amar, and to look at it. Am I saying these tools are 100% there? But I don't think so. But we are in a very good trajectory. At least we are thinking about those tools. A lot of those tools are open source. Yeah. Especially for Microsoft, we have open source a whole lot of tools, particularly looking at biases in data. What I also want to say, AI not to become a black box, right? And being able to really dive into, so that whatever your customers or whatever you and people are using AI for, they should be able to know why the decision was made, right? Just by saying, hey, this person's cardiac score is XYZ. It's not just saying that is not good enough. Is you really have to break it down to saying the reason I think the cardiac score is this is because I see some what's it called, behavioral things. I see some healthcare challenges. I see some predisposed genetic conditions. Oh, so do you see what I'm trying to say? So it really needs to be able to go into which features results. And so both the tools looking at the data and also the tools that you're using in AI needs to be transparent and to be able to do that. So that was the first question. You asked some really very good question.
Don't worry. So that was the first question. I would like to actually expand on that a little, because I don't see it only as a tooling problem. I see it as a team problem as well. So having multicultural in the team, having different people, maybe different race, maybe gender, different backgrounds, will help the team actually see the different outputs from the data. So I think that is the critical part, that try to create multicultural and multidisciplinary, a small team which can actually look into the data, and different people will find different conclusions out of it, for sure.
I'm glad you added, Joseph. That is spot on. That is very important. Tools are not going to solve it. You definitely need that's the multicultural global team to understand. We live in a global, we're a global citizen now, right? Is the whole perspective spot on. Thank you for adding.
Sure. I will add something very quickly to this, which is from the organization perspective, we have to talk about the ethics as well. Dr. Ali in the morning in the presentation, he mentioned this. Whenever comes AI, we have to talk about the ethics, because the tool can be used, in a very different way. So ethics culture, as a leader, you have the leadership, they have to enforce the ethics, the policies that back up such ethics. It's very important as well.
Spot on. Good. So the second question was more a question regarding the recommendations. Should a company outsource versus creating an internal team? And I think this is a very interesting decision what companies needs to make. And let me start by describing that I think there is a third option. And the third option, which is the most cost effective, is to start with solutions which are already available. Some prepackaged algorithms, what companies could try, which is very cost effective, going through the first cycle using their own data, train the algorithm, which is maybe available in the cloud. Some companies actually are providing the on-premise solutions as well. And you can see first results out of the data quality. And then you can decide that, hey, is this adding the value into my business? Do I have a data challenge? Maybe I need to hire somebody to constantly maintaining this algorithm, or I will outsource it to larger organization, which would bring the team and deliver it as a project. So that is at least my take on it. Try to start small, and if there are tools outside, for example, my company is exactly delivering this sort of tool, so you can test it, and if you like it, well, then there are a few steps after that. Ala, Martin?
Yeah. So I actually believe that I love the third option, by the way. That makes 100% sense. However, I believe a company can go with each and every one of them. It depends on a lot of factors, to be honest. Am I an AI-driven company, or I want to embark AI in one of my services? What's my strategy? What's my business model? So what's the maturity stage of the company? I am a startup. Am I a SME? So what's the market I'm in? So I believe there are a lot of factors. Each outsourcing, there are a lot of pros and cons. Same applies on having the team internally. But I do agree with Joseph that it's definitely, you have to start small. You have to work with what you have on hand, and then take a decision based on the other factors.
Yeah, and I think in my presentation I talked about capability building, and that's definitely an exercise. You don't need to spend like months and years doing that capability exercise. You can get started today. Really think where you are. That's your baseline, where you want to be. Do you have the skills in-house? Do you need to work with consultancies and outsourcing teams? All those things you can really make a data-driven decision as opposed to by just going by intuition. So absolutely, you can do that. I think both are important, and it's never one or the other. In most cases, we see as in successful organizations a combination of that being in place.
Perfect. And the last question which was raised was about, and actually it's a very important topic regarding the data access, how to get the data, how to process it responsibly, making sure that the privacy is actually upheld. And let me, at least from my experience, it really depends on the use case, what algorithms are processing and what outputs you are getting. But typically, AI don't need to use the personal data. There is within the AI projects a step of anonymization, because you don't need to know as an AI algorithm that this is Mr. Brown or Mr. Black. You just need to know that it's ID number 2. So there are technical as well as process means to anonymize the data, so you can on one end still train the algorithm, have meaningful outputs, but on the other protect the data, because as we discussed over and over again, data is the knowledge of the company. So for sure there needs to be a strategy how to secure and protect the data as it is a key organizational asset.
Ala, you're gonna go first.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Actually, I don't have much about this because, to be honest, I'm not the expert in data, so I will leave it to you. For me, I just believe it's a combination of things: the ethics, the culture, the process, the organization structure of the company, plus the tools, the data infrastructure. So it's a combination of aspects that can help with the privacy for sure.
And I would just add to those. I would say, look, it's not just the privacy of that's the data that you already have, but also how are you going to use the AI? So there are a few things you need to look at. So one of the interesting things we did a lot of research in Microsoft on this. And in fact, we published a book called The Future Computed, which is free download. You guys, anyone can have a look. It's about 2.5 years ago now, where we put some of those principles into place. And also I would recommend reading a book by Brad Smith called Tools and Weapons. It goes quite deep into this topic. So look, what we created a very simple set of principles, guiding principles. And what I want organizations, when they talk about important things like data privacy, how they deal with it, how they want their end customers to deal with it, is to really build some guiding principles. And guiding principles don't have to be a 100-page document with legal jargons. It's something very simple every organization can understand. So our principles are 4 core principles of fairness, reliability and safety, privacy and security, and inclusiveness, underpinned by 2 foundational principles of transparency and accountability. So this is our AI and ethics of responsible AI principles. Interestingly, there was a study done by Barton Klein not that long ago, and I think the report said there were 80 such ethics principles out in the market. And what is common in that, majority of those, is privacy. Privacy was a very common element. So really organizations definitely need to start looking at it. There is enough thought leadership in this element about it. So that's the cultural leadership onwards there, and then definitely take advantage of the tools out there. One of the things I would say is definitely look at things like that would catalog your data. I mean, you can't really look at privacy. You don't really know what data you have, right? What is the end to it? What are the data assets you have? Which are the ones you have to really be extra vigilant to ensure you are dealing with in the right possible way? So those are the few things I can add to it, but I think most topics are covered by Joseph and Anna.
Thank you very much. Good. So I think I don't have any questions. I don't see any questions in the chat. So what I would suggest for you, Alaa, and Pratim, just to give 1 minute closing remarks from your perspective.
I would say, look, really good discussion, great conversation. Thanks for having us. And it's a journey where the world is embarked. No one is too early or too late. I'll just repeat what I normally say: think big, think big, but act fast. I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, good luck on your journey, and reach out on LinkedIn, or look in loads of documentation, videos, and tutorials out there to help you in that journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Pratim. I really enjoyed the session, to be honest. I enjoyed the questions. I learned a lot. Thank you very much for that. And I won't add anything more. Just I have faith that through collaborative work from everyone, from the governments, from the consultant companies, from the tech companies, everyone has an input to be able to enable the AI journey in companies. I believe we will see a lot of success in the coming period of time.
Thank you very much. And from my end, as Alaa, it was a pleasure. I think I really enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed the presentations and interaction. For the participants here on the meeting, as it was discussed, now it's time to think about your data and AI. I paste the link into my LinkedIn channel. I will be happy to connect. If any one of you would like to have a separate chat or conversation, feel free to reach out. So it was a pleasure. Thank you very much. And back to you.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Alaa. Thank you, Pratim. Really appreciate the time you all spent with us and for this valuable information and knowledge you have imparted. For me, it's learning all the way, and we are learning on AI. Talking to speakers, listening to you present today is very useful. And we believe the attendees also are saying the same. So thank you all. Appreciate the time and contribution to the conference. Amar, you want to say a few words? Over to you.
Thank you, Sadiq. I think you covered everything I would like to say. Thank you for being part of Project COMEX. We will continue with this conference with effort into developing AI in Oman, educating everyone about AI. So thank you, guys. We'll keep in touch and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.